Hello, and welcome to Tales for Life. In each episode of this podcast, we'll explore a folk or fairy tale from a different culture or region and discover the life lessons, values, and morals they offer that we can use today. Join me on the journey through the magical and meaningful world of folk and fairy tales. Welcome back, story lovers, to another episode of Tales for Life, the podcast that journeys through life, one tale at a time. Thank you for being here. And if you've been listening for a while but haven't hit that subscribe button yet, go ahead and do that so you never miss an episode. Today's tale has a familiar ring to it, and a familiar message that rang true more than a century ago, and still rings true today. It's the story behind this episode that I've titled, The Key to Success is Showing Up. Success is a familiar topic because it's such an important part of life. No one wants to be a failure. And the good news is, no one has to be. We can all succeed. Maybe not in the same area as someone else, and maybe not to the same degree, but someone else's success doesn't cancel out our own. The truth is, people succeed every day in 1,000 different ways, whether someone else has succeeded there or not. This world has plenty of success to go around. But there's a catch. Wanting success and knowing where you want to succeed aren't enough. Even talent isn't enough. What is enough is showing up, putting in the time, putting in the effort, day after day, through the small wins, the big failures, and everything in between. Success is the reward for the ones who didn't quit, the ones who kept going when it would have been easier to stop. And that brings us to today's story, a tale about a young man who didn't have much going for him, except that he kept showing up, and life kept opening doors he never expected. This is The Fool's Good Fortune. A certain man died and left 3 sons. One was altogether a fool, another was fairly intelligent, and the third was rather clever. This being so, it was of course difficult for them to live together. In dividing the inheritance among them, the fool was cheated, and in regard to the cattle, he was thus duped. There were 3 entrances to the pen, 2 open and 1 very narrow. The 2 clever brothers proposed to drive the beast out of all 3 at once. Those that issued from the small gap were to belong to the fool. In this way, the latter's share was only 1 young bull out of the whole flock. But to his feeble mind, the division seemed fair enough, so he contentedly drove his bull out into the forest and tied it with a stout rope to a young tree, whilst he himself wandered aimlessly about. 3 days later, the fool went to see his beast. It had eaten and drunk nothing, but had pulled the tree up by the roots and laid bare a jar full of gold coins. The fool was delighted and played with the money for a time. Then he resolved to take the jar and present it to the king. As he passed along the road, every wayfarer looked into the pot, took out the gold in handfuls, and so that he should not notice their thefts, filled it up with stones and blocks of wood. On reaching the palace, the fool asked for an audience of the king, and it was granted. He emptied out the contents of the jar at the feet of the king. When the courtiers saw the wrath of the king, they took the fool away and beat him. When he had recovered himself, he asked why he had been thrashed. One of the bystanders, for fun, cried to him, "You have been beaten because you labor in vain." The fool went his way, muttering the words, "You labor in vain." As he passed a peasant who was reaping, he repeated his phrase again and again, until the peasant grew angry and thrashed him. The fool asked why he had been beaten, and what he ought to have said. "You ought to have said, 'God give you a good harvest.'" The fool went on saying, "God give you a good harvest," and met a funeral, Again he was beaten, and again he asked what he should say. They replied that he should have said, "Heaven rest your soul." He then came to a wedding and saluted the newly married couple with this funeral phrase. Again he was beaten and then told that he should say, "Be fruitful and multiply." His next visit was to a monastery, and he accosted every monk with his new salutation. They too gave him a thrashing, with such vigor that the fool determined to have his revenge by stealing of the bells from their belfry. So he hid himself until the monks had gone to rest, and then carried off a bell of moderate size. He went into the forest, climbed a tree, and hung the bell on the branches, ringing it from time to time, partly to amuse himself and partly to frighten away wild beasts. In the forest there was a gang of robbers who were assembled to share their booty and had just ended a merry banquet. Suddenly they heard the sound of the bell and were much afraid. They took counsel as to what was to be done, and most of them were for flight. But the oldest of the band advised them to send a scout to see what was wrong. The bravest among them was sent to get information, and the rest remained as quiet as possible. The brigand went on tiptoe through the bushes to the tree where the fool was, and respectfully asked, "Who are you? And if you are an angel sent by God to punish our wickedness, pray spare us and we shall repent. If you are a devil from hell, come and share with us." The fool was not so stupid that he did not see he had to deal with robbers, so he took out a knife, tolled the bell, and then said with a grave air, "If you wish to know who I am, climb the tree and show me your tongue, so that I may mark on it who I am and what I ask of you." The robber obediently climbed the tree and put out his tongue as far as he could. The fool cut off his tongue and kicked him to the ground. The robber, mad with pain and frightened by his sudden fall, ran off howling. His comrades had come out to meet him, and when they saw the plight he was in, they ran off in terror, leaving their wealth. Next morning the fool found the booty, and without saying anything to anybody, took it home and became much richer than his brothers. If this story sounds a little like the tale from episode 24 of season 2, you've got a great memory. They are similar in their style, in their humor, and in the way everything somehow works out for the one person no one expects. But while that earlier episode focused on learning, today we're looking at something different: the worth of not quitting. The first thing to notice is that life isn't fair to our hero. It never has been. But that's okay. We're not all meant to chase the same things. So while the two older brothers are rightfully judged for cheating him, what actually sets the youngest brother up for success is that he doesn't sit around moping about it. He doesn't stew over the unfairness. He simply sets out on his own path. Past harms or a longer road don't prevent success, unless you believe they do. And then we get a real lesson. That lucky find of his, the jar of gold, doesn't last. It slips away almost as quickly as it appears. And that's how it goes. Just as there are no overnight successes, anyone who pops up without putting in the work will soon fall right back down. No one gets anything for free, and anything that comes too easily rarely stays. But then we see the real value of showing up. Our fool goes through hardship after hardship as he tries to find his way. Any one of them could have been enough to make him quit. And yet, he didn't. He persevered. He kept going. And he learned. In the end, it was the hardships and the lessons he pulled from them that made all the difference. He really did go through the school of hard knocks, but he graduated with honors. Because showing up day after day, time after time, makes all the difference. More than where you start, more than what others do to you. As Winston Churchill said, never give in. So as you head into your week, remember, Success isn't reserved for the lucky or the gifted. It's waiting for the ones who keep showing up. So keep going, keep trying, keep stepping forward, even when the road feels long. Thanks for listening. I hope you'll join me next time on Tales for Life, where another story and another bit of tried and true wisdom will be waiting for you.